Welcome back to our weekly coaching interview brought to you by Cleveland Collision Center, 2901 Watt Level Highway. Visit them today for all your automotive repair needs or visit them online at clevelandcollision.com. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey, today joined again by our head coach, Damon Floyd. And Damon, we come off a very emotional, intense win over Walker Valley, and we knew that Heritage was a team struggling, and it wouldn't have been unusual to have a letdown. But, brother, we hit the field running, and we were up 28-0 in the first quarter, and you couldn't ask for a better opening for the Bears to get off to a good start like that.
Yeah, it was good to see us come out and, execute. And we talked about all week of trying to stay aggressive. So we need to make sure that we're aggressive in all phases of the game, really the rest of the season, no matter who the opponent is, because I think that's when we're at our best. But no disrespect to Heritage, but, obviously there was a big talent difference. And
right.
We had the talent edge, and, so really you want your guys to go out and have fun and execute, and they did. And, a lot of long touchdowns, which was good to see. We're very explosive. So spread the ball around pretty good, and a lot of guys got to score touchdowns, I guess you could say. So
yeah, and that's good for the team there. Let me mention Trey Curry. He had runs of 61 and 32 yards and a 55-yard pass for a touchdown. He doesn't look sometimes like he's running very fast, but he gets those big old long legs cranked up. Man, he was smoking. He went untouched and he was just leaving the guys behind, seemed like.
Yeah, he's covering so much ground when his stride, so very fast. A lot like James Stovall used to be.
Right.
Like he's just gliding
very
as he's
similar.
going. But I think Trey had another touchdown that was called back.
Yes, he did.
The penalty really had nothing to do with the play, but so I think he touched it, 5 times and had 4 touchdowns. So, like we said earlier, we got to get the ball to him, and obviously when you get it to him, he usually has pretty good results. So, teammates around him did a good job blocking.
Great blocking.
He has got some potential for sure.
I don't want to give this guy a big head, but I've got to talk about your senior kicker, Isaac Vaughn. First year to kick for the varsity. He's a soccer player, obviously, that you'd recruited through Miguel Armenta, I guess, to get him to come out and kick for the Bears. He's made 16 consecutive PATs, and he missed only one the whole season, the second one of the attempt against Farragut, but since then he's not missed. He's getting those kickoffs longer and longer. He's kicked a field goal for us this year, so he's a good weapon for you to have.
Yeah, and we're talking about him every week now.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We're happy to have Isaac. Like I mentioned before in previous interviews, is his older brother, Ethan Vaughn, who was the good thing about the Vaughns is they're really, really good people. They're very coachable. Everything you'd ask out of them as a coach, they're always yes, sir. They always show up. Not that other kids are not, but they are really respectful and hardworking. And you got to give Coach Freeman a little credit too. He's our special teams coordinator.
Right.
He found Isaac last year. I remember he called me. He's like, "Hey, you got to come to the gym." And so I go to the gym. He's got him kicking in the net, during a PE class. And so from then on, we were begging him to come out. And so fortunately for us, he did. But like I said, and I'm repeating myself, I know, but I think he's just going to continue to get better. And what you're seeing is that he's getting more experience, and he is starting to get confident, and he is enjoying it. And still hoping he can kick it in the end zone maybe. Maybe this week will be the week, playing on turf. So, but really happy with the way he's kicking extra points and field goals.
Well, I know Keith's going to take credit for it all the way through there. So that's okay, Coach. You keep getting them like that, we'll give you all the credit.
That's right. He can have it.
Offensively, we gained about 1,280 yards in 3 games with 503 or so passing, 780 almost rushing. And that's quite a bit different from our attacks in the past. We've been more of a passing teams. But now we've got a running attack. But a huge part of that credit's got to go to that veteran offensive line. Boy, they are blocking like there's no tomorrow.
Well, they do. Like we talked about before, is our 4 seniors. You got Jared Fox, C.J. Dills, Michael Holyfield, and Jake Tipton. They are very tough kids. They're very close. They lead us. But then, Fox and Tipton, they haven't played a whole lot here. Honestly, in preseason, the past 2 games, they didn't play a whole lot because of their shoulder injuries. So you got guys like Bennett Burris. We got a freshman, Brody Morgan, who started last week at tackle, who's playing really well. Gabe Campbell, who's just a sophomore. Tucker Bashirs is another sophomore. So it's more than just those 5, but those 4 seniors, those are guys that set the tempo for us. And, you watch C.J. Dills, he is blocking. He's had a couple penalties. We've had to tell him to calm it down a little bit, which, as a coach, it's you'd rather tell him to calm down than having to get that intensity level up.
Right.
And our 4 seniors have done a really good job of setting the tempo, and not only on Friday nights, but they do it in the weight room, they do it on practice field, and those guys are reaping what they sow.
Well, on offense, speaking of that, still we're converting almost 46% of our third down plays. We're averaging almost 9 yards per touch on offense, and my goodness, your offensive coaches, could you just run through who those guys are that make that happen?
Yeah, it starts with Matt Moody. He's our offense coordinator. Does a really good job, I think, of designing different game plans and getting different people involved. And I do our defense. So if I was scouting and having to face our offense, it would be very scary. So, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Matt, the way he does spread the ball around and the different things. He uses our talent very well. He puts our kids in position to be successful. And then, Blake Gideon with the offensive line, him and Buck Watson both. Coach Watson's back with us this year. Those two coach the offensive line. Daniel Hearns, our wide receiver coach. Kobe Dills does our running backs, and then Brett Standiford, who played quarterback for us, is our quarterback coach. So our coaches deserve a lot of credit. They coach them hard. I think if you ask our players, they're always on them, but they're just trying to push them to reach their potential. And our players have responded, and we got to continue that. And we still have a ways to go to get better, but we do like our chances and our potential of where we can be by the end of the season.
Well, in 6A football, you're averaging better than 50 points per game. That's remarkable to think about there. We're going to take a break right now. We'll continue with our weekly coaches interview brought to you by Cleveland Collision Center when we return in just a moment. Welcome back to our weekly coaches show brought to you by Cleveland Collision Center with Coach Damon Floyd here. Let's talk about Bearden. People look at that and say, oh, they're 0-3. It's a cakewalk. And let me tell you, they played 3 teams ranked in the top 10 in the state. They played at West. They played at Maryville. They played home against Dobbins Bennett. We're the 4th straight team in the top 10 they're going to take on, and they're not your typical 0-3 team by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, you mentioned the teams they've played, and there's a whole lot of teams that have not. Well,
they're all unbeaten.
They're all unbeaten. They're
Yeah.
all undefeated. So, Bearden lost to Knox West in overtime the first week. We played Farragut the first week and lost. Well, West beat Farragut the second week, so it kind of tells you kind of how good they are. Their quarterback has been out the past 2 games. Their quarterback's a kid we faced when he was a freshman, and we were pretty good that year. And we had a battle on our hands up there when we played him 4 years ago. He's now a senior. He's not a freshman anymore.
Right.
He's 6'3", 6'4", 225. I mean, he's a grown man, and he hadn't played. So, we're expecting to be back this week, and when he's in, there's a big difference. I mean, they got a freshman that's playing when he's not been in, but this kid can run it. He can throw it. He's got a lot of moxie. Obviously, his teammates rally around him, so their offense will be completely different when he's in the game. And like I said, we're preparing for him to play. He had a high ankle sprain. So we expect him to be at full strength. Defensively, they really get after it. I think they had some guys maybe get injured last week. I'm assuming those guys will probably be back. So we know we have our hands full. It's another 6A team. They play in a very tough region, and, over the years they've been very, very competitive. And so we need to make sure that we still execute the way we've been. And it's going to be different because of the talent level we're seeing. It's different. And, they're more on par of where we are talent-wise.
Well, speaking of the quarterback, his name is Colin Ironside. Mm-hmm. He is a senior, as you mentioned. He's thrown for over 5,000 yards through his first 3 years, not even counting the games because he hasn't played this year, thrown for over 50 touchdowns. And not only that, but he's number 1 his class academically. Really? At Bearden. So that tells you the guy is not just a football player. Right. He's got moxie and he's got intelligence behind him as well. Since you're the defensive coordinator, does it pose a special challenge to you this week to get ready for him?
Yeah. It's hard because, the previous 2 games he didn't play.
Yeah.
So what they do when he's in is different. And we've tried to cover every situation, every formation that they've ran 17 different formations. So you got to line up 17 different ways basically. Wow. They have, I think it's around 12 to 15 different shifts, motions, trades, pre-snap. So communication will be obviously very important. They do all that for a reason, to try to confuse you. And then on top of that, they're very fast. They're very up-tempo. They're on the line really, really quick. So communication is going to be very key, getting lined up correctly. And then, of course, like always, it comes down to blocking and tackling. So, if they get rolling, if they get a first down or 2 first downs, it's going to be difficult. So we need to put a little pressure on them early and try to get some 3 and outs and get them off the field, because if they get in rhythm, that's what those teams that are high tempo like to do.
They can't score if they don't have the footballs, the old saying goes there.
Yes, it'd be nice for our offense to eat up some clock. But if we can score 50 again, look, we're happy with that. But I don't know if that trend's going to continue.
Well, I was just looking at some of their stats from last year. They've got a kicker named Connor Cross. He's a senior this year. Going into this season, he's put 52 kickoffs in the end zone, and that's a weapon because you're taking away the opportunity to return a kick. Also, I think it cuts down on the possibility of injury because you don't have as much going on there with that. But that's a big weapon, and just like Isaac Vaughn is building into a weapon here for the Bears. But this is a great quality program that you mentioned. It's not a heritage by any stretch, and it's no disrespect to heritage, but they were 8-3 last year. Went to the playoffs in the first round. They ran into the old nemesis, the Maryville Rebels, and that ended their season out there for them. So they're not going to be a heritage by any stretch of the imagination. I don't care what their record is.
Right, right. And that's the thing, too, is, just to be quite honest, we have always, in the past, lost the field position battle because every team you face kicks it in the end zone, and that makes it tough. So it's another chance that they're probably going to kick it in the end zone against us, and we're going to get the ball on the 20. Not only getting it at the 20 hurts us, but it also takes a chance for Javon or Cannon Hall to have the ball in their hands. And
right.
We like for them to get as many touches as possible. And Javon's already returned one, and Cannon, it won't be long before he returns one. So, the kicking game at our level is very, very important because there is so many good kickers. There's quality in field goals, extra points, kickoffs, and it just creates problems. Farragut was a field position problem coming out of our 5 a couple times, and that's due to their kicking game.
Well, they say that there's 3 parts of football: offense and defense and special teams, and they all 3 better be pretty good, especially at 6A level, because it's a challenge week in and week out to you guys to get ready. And I know you spend a lot of time watching videos too.
Yeah, we do. It is definitely, if you're more talented than a team, then the kicking game probably doesn't come into play as much. But when you're pretty even, and I feel like us, Bearden, there's a lot of 6A teams that are pretty even, talent-wise. Then the kicking game is going to be vital, and we don't necessarily have to win it. We just can't lose it on the kicking game. It'd be nice to be even with them. And then, offense and defense, obviously you got to win on 2 of the 3 parts of the game. So kicking game, them kicking in the end zone may have a slight advantage on us.
Well, we're going to wrap it up for now. Let's see if we can get 50 more points this week, get a few turnovers in some way, either picks or fumble recovers or whatever it might be. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. I've been your host, Gary Ownbey. Support the Bears for being there Friday night. We need you there, folks. You can listen to us on the Buzz 101.3. We'll have pregame at 6 for the coach's interview, our player interview, and our award-winning football panel with kickoff at 7:30 from Bearden High School live on the Buzz 101.3. Join me and Earl and Gwen Schroyer, our sideline reporter, as we bring you all the exciting action there. Should be a lot of fun. We'll sign off by saying, be there, Bear Nation. God bless, and go Bears!